This is MuggleCast, the Harry Potter podcast discussing everything about J.K. Rowling's Wizarding World. Welcome to MuggleCast episode 342. I'm Andrew.
I'm Eric.
I'm Micah.
We're joined by one of our Patreon Slug Club members this week. Irvin, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm psyched to be here.
It's good to have you on. You've written for MuggleNet for a long time. You've done some writing for Hypable. And you've also been a long-time MuggleCast listener, so...
Yeah, since 2009, I think.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Awesome. Well, it's good to have you on. We have a lot to talk about today. It was an interesting week with The Cursed Child on Broadway tickets, so we'll talk about our experiences with those. We're also going to talk about another new Harry Potter book that just came out.
What?
So
yes.
We all have it. We all went through it. I understand Irvin was up till 2 a.m.
I'm doing my due diligence, yeah.
Good. So this is the great part about having guest hosts on. They get really prepared, so they can like cover all of our faults. So we'll just sit back.
They're more prepared in some cases.
And we're like, oh, we've been doing this for 12 years. We don't need to prepare anything. I roll out of bed 2 minutes before the show starts. Just kidding. Half hour before the show starts. And a couple other things to talk about today as well. But first, let's get Irvin's fandom ID. What are your Hogwarts and Ilvermorny houses?
My Hogwarts house is Ravenpuff. I have trouble deciding.
Did you purchase some of that crest-crossed merchandise?
Yes, I did. My friend gave me the Ravenpuff t-shirt for my birthday, and it's like my favorite thing ever.
Awesome. For anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, there's this artist. She has this business called Crest Crossed on Etsy, and she merges Hogwarts houses. So if you can't decide, you can buy a tie or a shirt or like a vinyl. What is this? A vinyl crest. And, you could be a Slitherpuff, a Gryffindor, a Gryffindor, a Ravenpuff like you.
Slitherpuffs are surprisingly common. You wouldn't think, but I know a lot of them.
How about your Ilvermorny house?
Screw that. I went to Hogwarts.
Wow.
That's a first. Okay. That's a good answer, actually. Why do we all pretend like we went to 2 wizarding schools?
Well, guys, we all live in America, so I hate to bug you with the facts here, but we wouldn't have gone to Hogwarts.
Oh, okay.
But just all the Ilvermorny writing is so bad. Just, I don't acknowledge it.
Well, I think that's probably why it was stopped being written, so...
Yeah, exactly.
You're deeply entrenched in fandom, Irvin, so what's your favorite wizard rock band?
Well, that's a difficult question because I have a lot of favorites. I think the one that got me into wizard rock was the Moaning Myrtles.
Okay.
Their song Prefects Are Hot just like tickled my fancy.
That is a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like And Then I Died.
Yes.
Oh, that one's great. And Lauren Fairweather still performs that at Wizard Rock shows. Because the Myrtles broke up like somewhere near 2009. I only got to see them live once or twice.
Yeah.
But Then I Died is still a standard. And also just Swish and Flick is the best. I think I've written to you guys a couple times about them, but she puts on live shows like nobody else.
Yeah, I will say some of these Wizard Rock artists put on really good shows. I can still remember the Moaning Myrtle shows, particularly And Then I Died. Because they do put on, they're talented, they're fun, they're fun to see live.
Well, at Malfoy Manor, they have quarterly shows now where they just get a bunch of wizard rockers at Brian Malfoy's house. And the first one I went to featured a surprise Moaning Myrtles reunion, and everyone just lost their mind. Like, it was the biggest thing to ever happen in Wizard Rock.
Irvin talks about Wizard Rock like I talk about Bruce Springsteen. I saw them before they broke up. There was a surprise band. I couldn't believe it.
Hey, speaking of, Andrew, you just saw Bruce Springsteen's on Broadway, didn't you?
I did.
Ooh.
Oh, Mazel Tov.
There's 2 Andrews now, before Springsteen on Broadway and after Springsteen on Broadway. But that's besides the point.
Was this the show that Billy Joel was at, too?
No, but I went to the show that Oprah was at.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Not as cool, but okay.
I missed Billy Joel by a day. Oh, I thought Oprah was cool. There was like whispers and rumors throughout the venue. I was like, oh,
Oprah's here.
Oprah. They were like speaking Voldemort.
No, I just happened to see Billy Joel on Jimmy Kimmel, and he was talking about how he went. I guess were there a couple of shows this week, or it's officially open now?
Yeah, it's 6 days a week.
Wow.
Yeah. Rumor mill is that they're going to extend it past February because it's making stupid amounts of money.
Yeah.
And Howard Stern was there too, Andrew. I know you're a big fan.
I know. I missed them all by a day. I would have yelled Baba Booey if I was at the Howard Stern one. Anyway, let's get back to this. Finally, what is your favorite Birdie Bot every flavor bean?
This is going to sound weird, but the grass one really doesn't taste that bad.
Okay. Irvin's different. I like it. Actually, not finally.
That's a bold choice, Irvin. I like it.
Thank you.
What is your favorite Harry Potter book and movie?
Favorite book is Half-Blood Prince. Movie is the first one. But I'm not a big fan of the movies. I think once Chris Columbus left, they all just kind of went very far downhill.
Okay.
There.
Controversial. But thanks. It's good to have you on the show. Thank you for your support over on Patreon. We appreciate it. And you actually started your own Patreon recently, didn't you?
I did. I was inspired by you guys. I've been writing essays for MuggleNet as their controversial columnist for 6 or 7 years now, and I wanted to see if I could maybe, get a community going like you guys and, maybe get some financial support while I was at it. It just launched. It's patreon.com/hpboy13. And hopefully, I can get even a fraction of your guys' success.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I know you're a really good writer.
Thank you.
So everybody should definitely check out Irvin's work. He has some great opinions, and he puts them to paper very eloquently. So
thank you very much.
Yeah,
appreciate
absolutely. That. I mean, the most of what I read is your Dancing with the Stars stuff, because that's what you put on Hypable, but
True.
I'm sure your talents translate over to Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So,
I wrote about Puffs for you guys, and that translated really well. Puffs
put up one of Irvin's quotes on a banner in New York. And
yeah, my words are on a billboard, and I kind of can't get over it.
Yeah. And I can't get over it because it credits Hypable right on the banner. I was like, whoa.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so let's talk about Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Speaking of New York, move over, Puffs. There's a new Harry Potter show coming to town.
Puffs is still the better one.
So this past week, the actual tickets for Cursed Child on Broadway went on sale. Last episode, we didn't know if any of us would receive codes, and then believe it or not, Micah, Eric, and I think you too, Irvin, all got put on standby.
Yep.
None of us got codes, guys. None of us.
I was actually shocked because we just mentioned that Springsteen show. I got onto that while other fans were rejected, so I felt very lucky, and I was coming into Cursed Child with a lot of confidence, and then I felt so let down when I got the text message.
Well, and considering the hassle just to become a verified fan of getting that email, getting the website to work, and then getting the email, to then be put on standby, which wasn't, to my knowledge, an option even. Like, it just, because they didn't say anything about it earlier. I mean, I just assumed if you were a verified fan, you'd either get a code or a different window, maybe a later window. Standby just surprised me.
And it wasn't just us. I did a poll on Twitter. 69%, nice, said they were put on standby. 19% got a code, and then 12% voted. Ticketmaster said I'm a fake fan. So the large majority of people got placed on standby. Now, with that said, some people, including Micah, you ended up getting a code, right, later in the day?
Yeah, early afternoon, I got a text message with a code, and we had already resolved our situation. So it wasn't a huge deal, but I was still trying to go on and get tickets. But in terms of what was available, those $20 and $40 seats were hard to come by, especially if you were looking for 2 tickets. So I had to go well into the fall of next year, and actually didn't even end up purchasing tickets. And so I was going to ask, though, what's going to happen? So let's say you didn't end up getting anything. You stayed on standby. Do they have a plan, or did they communicate out to say, okay, there's going to be a next wave of tickets that are going to be available to people?
In their email, didn't they say, if you get the email that says, sorry, you didn't quite make it. So if you were on standby and then you never got a code, they sent a follow-up email saying, there will be numerous opportunities to purchase tickets for Harry Potter and the Cursed Child Parts 1 and 2 before it opens.
Right. So what does that mean, though? Does that mean that you'll be able to get tickets that they have set aside within the block that's already been released, or these are additional tickets like heading into 2019?
Yeah, I think that what it means is before April, when the play opens officially, more tickets for much later dates will be available. That's how I read it, but it's purposefully ambiguous. It's awful.
It is ambiguous.
I mean, that sounds weird, though. They don't usually sell more than like a year and a half in advance.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. So I think they will release more tickets for maybe the previews and then the regular shows as well.
Yeah.
I think they did hold some tickets off. But getting back to what Micah said about his experience, and you mentioned the prices, I saw two common things for people who did get access. One, they couldn't find cheap tickets. And two, they had a hard time getting the number of tickets that they wanted to get. I know a few people who were trying to get up to 6 tickets, and they only ended up with 2. One of my friends was like, hey, I'm going to have an extra ticket in my group. Do you want in? And I said, yeah. And then he went to try and get tickets, and he only ended up with 2.
Huh. Yeah, that would have been the worst thing ever, is to finally get on and see a message saying, well, how about 2?
Yeah.
We know you said you wanted 6. How about 2? But
they can foresee the future, Eric. They know that you're really going to only end up going with one other person.
Well,
my friend didn't have the time to go through searching for tickets, so she gave me her code and told me to like find tickets if there were any affordable ones. There was nothing less than $200 a piece, so no tickets for us.
Yeah, well, so the thing about this is too, like, what people had to do because of the verified fan process, and because so few people actually got, codes to go on, you pretty much had to find a friend who did get a code and go in. And basically, those designated code verified friends of yours would have had to have really shouldered the burden of getting all 6 tickets, basically the max tickets. I think this is what the majority of people ended up having to do, is just get together, safety, power in numbers, but then you're held to all finding the same day that works, and also the same, price level for tickets. So it's a bit hard. It was a bit less convenient than it could have been. But given that only 19% of people even got codes, that just shows how much demand versus seat capacity they probably have for this theater, which is shocking.
Yeah. So one of our listeners, Katy, was gracious enough to let us in on her registration code.
Yes.
And Eric...
This is a game changer. This was a game changer.
Oh, it was.
We were all bummed about not getting a code, because come on, we wanted a code. And Katy said, well, if there's anybody who should see this show, it's you 3. So here.
Did she say that?
Yeah, she actually said that.
Oh, she's super sweet. But wait a second, is she not? Wait. Oh, this just dawned on me. Is she not going with us?
No, she's going.
She's going. Good.
But her husband had to sit home because our group is 5 without her.
Oh, I see. Oh, well, that was nice of him. He didn't have to do that.
His birthday was yesterday too, so we all have to go in on a gift for him. But yeah, so it's Katy, the 3 of us, and then Andrew and Edward, our friends in Chicago, and we're going. But like, the only way it could have happened is if she was generous with her code, and she was. And I can't imagine, in groups figuring out any other way that this could have worked. It worked exactly the way it had to.
Yeah. And I kind of have a funny story about this. I'm sorry, Eric, but I have to
go ahead. I know you've been wanting to tell this all week. You even previewed it in the Facebook group. You're like, oh, wait till you see what Eric did to us, guys.
So we knew, Micah and I knew that Eric was going to be doing this. And so Eric's ready. He secures tickets, but he had never asked us about how much we were willing to spend. And we kind of just assumed, I guess, Micah, correct me if I'm wrong, that Eric would just, before buying the tickets, be like, hey guys, how do you feel about spending this much money? Because we didn't know what type of tickets he was going to.
That's what people normally do. Yeah.
Right. We thought maybe, and maybe he would try to get tickets that are affordable, and that maybe you don't even have to ask us for the, if you want to spend this much.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So a few minutes after the sale takes place, Eric's like, I got the tickets. And then he sends another text. You each owe me $424. And I'm like, what? What? I thought he was kidding. I was like, is this a joke? I can't tell. And then he sends a follow-up picture with the total bill, and it's like $2,200, $2,400. I'm like,
it's like $2,595.
I'm like, oh my God, he just bought me a $424 ticket and he wants me to pay for it. A show I already saw. And I was like, Eric, I just spent $400 on a Springsteen ticket under protest, and that's Springsteen. I don't want to spend $400 on a Cursed Child ticket.
Yeah. So,
Micah, could you believe this?
No, I'm speechless. I'm still from earlier this week, from Wednesday. I'm stunned.
As soon as you said that, I looked back in the text message thread because I was sure at some point I had discussed price with you guys. Because my intentions all along,
sure, $20 to $40 would be
no. My intentions all along were I didn't want to pay $199 a ticket. And here's the problem with Cursed Child in particular, it's per part. You're paying per part. So not only is it $199 a ticket, but then that's for parts 1 and 2, and after tax, it's $424.85 or whatever. So, what I was interested in was first and foremost looking for those $20 and $40 tickets, because the website says and seems to allude to the idea that there's actually good seats for $20 and $40. That all the signage that I was reading suggested that there would be $20 and $40 seats in reasonable parts of the theater. So I got a code. I was on the website right away. I had previously logged into the Ticketmaster account that was associated with the code. I was ready. I had already added my card to the account, everything. So I'm on and I get in, and right away I'm able to look up the calendar. I didn't have any errors with the website, right? So I get in.
Lucky.
Yeah. Oh, I realize now after reading the horror stories that were going on around Twitter around the same time, my experience is very much not everyone else's. But I went on and I immediately clicked on April 25th, which it turns out is opening day, and clicked on the $20 to $40 ticket option for best available. And what came up was the very back section of the theater.
Yeah.
And I just said, well, if that's best available, this isn't going to work. And quickly, because I knew time was of the essence, I backed out and chose best available in general, and it placed us in the orchestra.
The other angle was that the other people going with us were willing to spend as much as possible.
Yeah. So Andrew and Edward have never seen this. They just,
so we lose out, Andrew.
Exactly, which is fine if they want to spend as much as they want, but that doesn't mean we should.
Well, they described it as a once in a lifetime experience, and under much duress. Like, the whole thing is, that's the problem with doing, the group of 6. The 3 of them were very eager to spend what they needed to for very good seats, for a good experience. The 3 of us on this podcast, little less enthusiastic about seeing it live, but through this whole situation, because I didn't want to let them down by getting cheap seats in the back of the theater when they're already going to New York for it. I figured, you know what, this is the opportunity I'm going to give Cursed Child a chance, right? Like, we're gonna do it up. We're seeing the show this way. We're seeing the show on opening night, orchestra seats, and I'm just not gonna. If I come out of this show after finally having seen it, having bashed it for years on the podcast, if I don't like it still, it's not because we had shitty obstructed view seats.
No, I thought he was going to say he was going to refund our tickets.
And Micah and I are announcing today a new Patreon, patreon.com/help Micah and Andrew pay for their Cursed Child tickets.
No.
There's
Look,
one
I better be
$400
close enough
level.
to heckle Death Eaters. I mean, there's got to be something that comes of this.
Well, it's opening night. I think Joe will be there. I mean, come on. Pretty much, I think anybody's going to be there the same night we are.
Sit next to us.
Next to us.
Maybe they might have a special opening show. I don't, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
But it is cool. You got tickets for opening night.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing is, the tickets are the same cost if you get them opening night or in the middle of November next year. Like they're still the same price, which is steep.
Well, that's a great thing that they're for the first night. I will say that.
Well,
So-
you're welcome.
Thank you. No, but just to touch on this for a second, because there are other appearances that J.K. Rowling has done in New York City, events that we've all gone to, and they were affordable. And I think, that's just for another example at work. I know somebody who purchased tickets. They told me, I just spent $1,200 or $1,400 on tickets to go see this play. And
Yeah.
to me, that's just, it's crazy to think that people will spend that kind of money.
Well,
to go
I
see
think
this.
you're overlooking a crucial point, Mr. New York native, which is that
It's
Broadway
Broadway.
tickets. Yeah.
I get it.
I mean,
get
that's normal. Like I just booked tickets for Thanksgiving. I'm coming home. By the way, Mike, I'm coming to your town on Thanksgiving, or Black Friday, actually, to book tickets for my mom to see The Lion King and I, and not The Lion King and I, me and her. Are seeing The Lion King.
That's a
That'd be an
new
awesome mashup. I would totally watch that.
mashup musicals. No, to see The Lion King, and tickets were like $230 a person each. And like, it's crazy. So we're seeing something else instead. But Broadway tickets are just that. That's just the how much they cost.
Yeah. So we got a couple of voicemails, people calling in with their own experiences. Let's listen to this one.
Yep.
Hey guys, Alexa Ackerman. I am calling from somewhere in the middle of Illinois, and I was finally catching up on your podcast from the last 2 weeks. And I wanted to call you and complain about Ticketmaster's verified fan page thing. Basically, tickets were going on sale after people got their access code for like $1,700, and I think that is completely ridiculous. These people aren't fans. They are 100% ticket scalpers who are trying to make major profits. And poor people like me could not get tickets to see the show. Anyway, I hope to hear your guys' thoughts on it. And love your show. Keep going. Bye.
So she is referring to the StubHub market where people can put their tickets up. And she's right. Tickets are going for a lot of money on there. The thing is, they are trying to prevent tickets from being flipped. I know that you can't actually get a hold of your tickets yet, even if you purchase them.
Right.
Right, Eric?
Yeah, that's exactly true. The options are will call, which you need the credit card that you paid with and a photo ID with your name to prove it's you, or mobile, which means they text your cell phone the week of the show, pretty much like the day or two before the show. They'll text you an image with your tickets. Like, those are the options. There's no print at home. There's no, hard copy ticket even option available, I don't think.
I don't want to get into theorizing here because we don't really need to, but people are putting their tickets on StubHub still, so they've got a plan. And, StubHub has this fan protect guarantee where if you buy tickets, you will be going. These aren't fake tickets. So I'm just looking right now. There's a bunch of tickets available per show. Each one for sale does include parts 1 and 2. I'm seeing like 22 tickets for one show, 30 for another, which honestly isn't too bad considering it's a 1,500 seat theater. That's a very
I heard it's
small
better
portion.
than usual on StubHub for this.
Yeah.
And it could just be people who are going to see it, but then bought 5 other tickets that they want to sell.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Maybe they want to pay off the expenses involved in getting themselves to the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
So-
Yeah. So
We'll see what the market
Eric,
looks like
will-
as time
will the
goes
ticket
on.
for part 1 and part 2 the same price?
These tickets include part 1 and part 2. So, for example, Saturday, March 24th, the cheapest tickets, and this includes part 1 and 2, start at $990.
Oh Jesus.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah. But
But,
Yeah,
but Eric,
so-
when you purchased, let's say part 1 cost $199, did part 2 also cost $199?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no way.
See,
So you're in the same seat for both parts, no matter what.
So to me, see that's where they could have done some cost saving for the person who is going out and spending all this money. And I get it. I know it's Broadway, but still, if you're going to both of these shows, and to me, if you were saying, okay, spend $200 on a ticket to go to one show, I probably feel a little bit better about it. But the fact that you have to spend another $200 to go and see the second part, because you're not just going to go and see part 1 and just say, okay, you know what, I'm good,
Yeah.
unless it really sucks. But I think they could have done more there. They could have helped people out so that if you buy the bundle, there's a discounted price.
Yeah.
Buy 2
Yeah,
and get $50 off your order.
Well, I think that's fair. And not to mention service charges and fees, which in this case, God, I didn't even notice because it wasn't even itemized. But it just, again, Broadway tickets buying for
Probably
my
the
mom
price
the
of
other day.
ticket, the service
Well-
charges and taxes.
Well, when I was buying tickets for or trying for the Lion King or whatever, it was 130. No, I ended up seeing Chicago. We're going to go see Chicago, which is funny. I'm going to see Chicago in New York. But the tickets were $139 each, which was fine. But then the service charge was $50 per person. So it was an extra $100 of services and fees. And this is on the main Broadway website. I ended up going to
Oh,
StubHub.
yeah.
I ended up using
Yeah,
StubHub.
Broadway ticket fees are the worst. Like, you should see the lengths that me and my friends go to not pay those fees.
Yeah.
Like, we have people go into the box office, like, we set up this whole thing, but yeah, just
And it's hugely
insulting to pay
inconvenient.
that much.
It's hugely
Yeah.
inconvenient. And so, really, when it comes down to it, this whole verified fan process, getting back to Cursed Child, the question that I'm asking is, did it really prevent scalpers from getting a hold of these tickets? And I think, for the most part, it did.
I think so as well.
But at the cost, at a great cost of inconveniencing some of the most hardcore Harry Potter fans.
And here's the thing. We saw 70% of people end up on standby. There were a ton of people who wanted to see this. Despite the mixed reactions to the script book, everybody still really wanted to go see Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. And the thing is, it will remain on Broadway forever. It'll probably tour the country simultaneously, just like Hamilton is right now. It's staying in New York, but it's also in Chicago and LA right now, and it'll be in other cities. It'll be around. Everybody, as J.K. Rowling has promised, will get the chance to see it. Here's one more voicemail. This person had a positive experience.
I got tickets. June 13th. Both parts. I'm really, 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 really excited. It's the day after my high school graduation, so that's fun. But we got them.
I love these people just call and give us status updates.
Yeah, they don't even introduce themselves. They're just like, hey,
What's their name? Where are they from?
We have no clue. But this guy also called in earlier in the day just to say that he got an access code.
You can't
Anyway.
beat that excitement. He's going June 13th. That's my mom's birthday. Not to make
Oh.
the show all about my mom.
But anyway,
You should take her.
it was a stressful process. A lot of people got screwed, but a lot of people did get tickets. They may have to wait longer because tickets were very limited and demand is high. But like I said, let's not be too negative on this. I don't think they could have done this any better than they did. Getting back to that person who was complaining about the scalping, it's inevitable. It's just inevitable. You can be a Harry Potter fan. You can look like a Harry Potter fan and also want to flip the tickets. Like, I'm not above flipping tickets from time to time.
You just flipped a Bruce ticket for a real profit, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I thought you like the one that was like for 800 and you sold it for 1500.
I definitely did not double my money on a ticket.
Oh, okay,
You're
okay,
crazy.
all right.
Hey, look, if all else fails, Eric will get you tickets.
Yeah, you might be paying a
I got
lot,
you
but he'll
covered,
get you
guys.
tickets.
I got you covered. But yeah, I was looking at our text message. I did float the idea of 130 ticket per part. I did say that.
Well, that's still half of what you ended up.
Yeah.
Getting us.
That was what I was going for, but there was no way to distinguish between the $20 and $40 tickets because it was 20, 40, 80, and 130, or 199 inclusive best available. So it was a real mix. But anyway, I hope I didn't betray any trust, but I think we'll come around on the cost.
Well, yeah, I just got a new job, so that's how I'm paying it off.
There
So
you go. We'll have to take up a collection.
Anyway, that's all for now. We'll keep everybody updated on future Cursed Child ticket sales. Like we mentioned a little while ago, they are saying that more will become available. We just don't know for what dates.
It'd just be so much easier if they just sold a theater like a movie. If they just filmed it and released it to everybody for $20.
Yeah, but then they wouldn't be able to sell those $400 tickets. So
yeah,
it is a weird
I don't
sentence.
know if that's true. I think they could still sell $400 tickets if there was a movie.
I think
people
so too.
play a high premium on live theater.
But they haven't yet sold the video, so I guess that must mean what they think.
I agree with you. I just think it would take away a lot of the demand. The fact that you can only see it on Broadway right now makes for all this demand. Because a lot of people don't want to spend more than $20 and travel for this too. So
yeah.
So let's get to this new book that was just published. It's called Harry Potter: A Journey Through a History of Magic. Now, what is this? There's a new exhibit opening at the British Library called Harry Potter: A History of Magic. And this was put together to celebrate 20 years since Philosopher's Stone was published. And it's not just about Harry Potter, the exhibit / this book, as the name may suggest. It's also just about the history of magic. And what's cool about this exhibit and the corresponding book is that it shows you how J.K. Rowling's creation ties into the history of magic. But it also features a lot of original Harry Potter stuff, including some very interesting pieces from J.K. Rowling's archives, some sketches of hers that we've seen before, but also some new ones. Like there's this one of Professor Sprout that I'd never seen before, a map of the Hogwarts grounds. There's also some early manuscripts for Harry Potter itself in this. Some really surprising stuff.
I mean, that alone is worth the price. Like, when I came to the drafts of Sorcerer's Stone, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, we actually get to see the drafts of these books.
Yeah. And we'll get into some specifics, but first I want to say, just when I was paging through this, the book is beautiful. It's a paperback. It's very well put together and very well designed, but also kind of just feels like you're touring a museum because you get to see the full versions of the manuscripts that they're sharing at the museum, and the sketches and J.K. Rowling's handwritten notes.
Yeah. No, they're very generous with content, which is frankly superb and unusual. Because you guys remember the HP exhibition called Harry Potter: The Exhibition, which is
where you
touring.
can take photos.
Yeah, you can't take photos, but also they sell a book that's really like this, but it's just photos of the artifacts that they have in the exhibition. Which artifacts? I mean, they're props. Let's be real. It's just a photo book, like here's your photo guide of the stuff that you saw today. Professionally taken photos in the right light because you're not allowed to take photos. This is very much not that. This is very much an instructional, like informational, educational kind of well thought out narrative through real history. And it's concerned with witchcraft and the different subjects at Hogwarts that are really boiled down into what real people across time have practiced and done, going back to I think 7th century is something that I found. Something's here from, the 800s or something. So it's wholly unbelievable and supremely great.
That's what I liked about it. I like the fact that it laid it out course by course. We just did an episode not that long ago talking about the different Hogwarts courses. So this is almost like a good compendium to that, just because you do get the real life application, like you were saying, Eric. They talk a lot about the history behind each of these different courses and the different objects or creatures that play significant roles, and you don't realize how much of this is rooted in truth in some way, shape, or form, or at least what people believed all the way back in the day about certain things. So, I also really like it's kid friendly. So if a kid picks up this book, I found it funny, like all the little experiments and projects that you can do where they make a point of saying, have a parent do this, have a parent do that. So I think, it's something that people of all ages can get something out of.
So one of the first things we get to see, which I don't think has ever been revealed before, is her own synopsis of the first Harry Potter book.
Right.
You can see she typed it out on a typewriter. It's about 1.5 pages, and she summarizes what happens in the first book. And what's interesting about this is she wrote this herself to submit with her manuscript to publishers. Now, according to this book, this is the one she specifically sent to Bloomsbury, who really started this whole phenomenon when they decided to buy the rights to it. And she wrote the synopsis in 1995.
Well, and that's something this book keeps reiterating, is that she planned the 7-book series from like 1990. There's sketches and drawings from 1990 in this book that are by J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
She planned it from 90 to like 95. So it took her 5 years. And these notes, which we've heard tell here and there about, there being like an entire, I don't know, wardrobe-sized cabinet of just shelves and shelves of like old napkins and stuff. This is a collection where this is an opportunity to see them. They actually have them. They have handwritten chapters too, like of books, like handwritten chapter parts of various books. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it's somewhat comical that we owe the Harry Potter series to an 8-year-old girl. I don't know if you guys read the intro that talked a little bit about Nigel Newton from Bloomsbury, who was the one who ultimately greenlighted or chose to I don't know what the official term is, but move ahead with the Philosopher's Stone. He took home the initial manuscript that J.K. Rowling put together and gave it to his daughter, and his daughter approved and wanted more, and so he moved forward with it. And
Alice, her name is Alice Newton, and that appears on page 7.
So I wonder if she gets credit somewhere along the way. Is she thanked in any of the forwards to any of the Harry Potter?
No, I don't think so.
We can thank her.
Where is she now? Let's do an interview with her.
So they have a small scrap of paper that she wrote her dad, this Nigel Newton at Bloomsbury, which says, and it's not bad handwriting for a kid, "The excitement in this book made me feel warm inside. I think it is possibly one of the best books an 8 or 9-year-old could read."
She's right.
Yeah, and what's also crazy is they kept this note after all these years, and now it's on display in this exhibit. And she had only read the first few chapters, I think. She didn't even get the whole thing. So then after the J.K. Rowling synopsis, the next page, there's another really cool document. It's her handwritten map of the Hogwarts grounds, and you see the Quidditch pitch, you see Hogwarts, you see the greenhouses, you see Hagrid's hut, you see the Forbidden Forest, you see the Whomping Willow, and at the top half of the document, she notes that the Whomping Willow, quote, must stand out. And so from here, you're kind of already seeing her lay the groundwork for future books. And actually, speaking of the Whomping Willow, this is getting really far ahead, but later in the book, there's like this alternate scene where Harry and Ron crash the Fort Anglia into the Black Lake,
Yeah.
and then have a conversation with one of the mer people.
Yeah.
The mer people have to like pull them out of the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what's also so special about this book is that you also get these alternate scenes, which we had never seen before.
It's really unbelievable.
On page 50, there's the original Sorting Hat script, which I thought was very cool because, once again, this was handwritten. And on the page before, on pages 50 and 51, this is all on, you can see J.K. Rowling's handwritten notes on deciding on a sorting hat. And it wasn't always going to be a hat. She was also considering other elements.
Statues, which is what ended up going into Ilvermorny, kind of.
Yeah.
Yep.
She was also
Arbitrary
thinking
list.
short straws, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. This
An
stuff is
arbitrary list.
right.
Yeah. Well, what I love about this Sorting Hat song notes here is because stuff is crossed out, and I really, really want to try and make sense of what almost was a trait for the houses, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you just discarded what the hat was originally going to say about each house.
Yeah.
But I can't.
I mean, I went through it. It seems to be pretty close to what ended up happening.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Like the Hufflepuffs became just instead of fair, which pretty much means the same thing.
Yeah.
In Ravenclaw, wits are prized, now they're found. But yeah, like the song is pretty close.
Here's an alternate. Originally, it was going to be you could be born for Hufflepuff. You could be born for Hufflepuff, and that was changed to you might belong in Hufflepuff.
Ooh, I
Yeah.
like born for. It's kind
Born
of
for, yeah,
romantic.
but I mean,
way
I
to put
think
it.
the emphasis is more on choice than as the book developed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Are you
Hmm.
born
Also, one of the
Hufflepuff?
options. One of the options for sorting was a selection committee of the heads of houses deciding which kids
plus
they want.
plus prefects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just kind of want to see like McGonagall, Snape, Flitwick, and Sprout sitting around a table deciding.
Oh, it's very much like Shark Tank, right? Like I'll bid this
Yeah.
much, you know, or The Voice if their chairs face the other way and they hit a button and turn around.
Nice.
And
I like
yet-
the ghost court idea. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, having the ghost side. But it's like the Sorting Hat works the most because the Sorting Hat's actually reading their minds. Like, how are these teachers or ghosts going to decide who belongs in which house?
Yeah.
So, Sorting Hat.
Well, then on the very next page, talking about Joe handwritten stuff, on the very next page, do you guys know where you were on December 30th, 1990?
no.
Alive?
Not yet born.
Not yet born. Sims, were you? It was probably like
I
one,
was
right?
a year and a half old.
Yeah, I was only like 2. Because that's the date on this drawing of Diagon Alley, of the entrance to Diagon Alley. It's 6 images of the bricks and the pattern that they make when you open, like there's the rubbish bin and the bricks, and then basically an exact visualization of more or less what happens in the movie eventually. You know, J.K. Rowling, this is what she was doing on December 30th, 1990. She was drawing this picture. And it's just so, for a moment, when I got to this drawing with this sketch, it really felt real for me because there's a specific date that she drew it, and it really hit home that she worked on this series, this book for just so long, and it really did spring from her imagination, like entirely. You can tell that she was just so excited. She, again, that photo of Sprout that you mentioned, like she had these people in her mind, and she just had to draw them so that she could, you know, see them and use the other senses, and it's amazing. I love how artistic J.K. Rowling is, and I love how that blends modes and transcends modes. How she's writing or drawing or, you know, explaining, and she's musical and historical.
And also, these images are really, really detailed. I'm just thinking about how, like, each brick is, like, filled in, and there's 6 of these brick walls. Like, she was doing all this? She actually did all this? It's kind of crazy. It would take a lot of time to make all these sketches.
I wish I could do this on the train, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wish I could draw. I can't draw this
that
good.
That too.
Yeah. There's a particularly interesting section on page 63 where, let me get to it, we see they start talking about the Hogwarts subjects and teachers, and there's these documents in which she's planning the teachers and what each of them teaches. And then on the bigger note, she writes down certain teachers and what books they're going to be in.
Well, yeah. Defense, there's a list of Defense Against the Dark Arts teachers and what year they teach, which this is the craziest thing. So Quirrell is listed under book 1, Lockhart is listed under book 2, and Remus Lupin is listed under book 3 and book 7.
Yeah.
So I wonder...
Lockhart's also listed under 6.
Right.
Lockhart and 6. So I wonder if Lockhart or if Lupin was meant to come back to Hogwarts in an earlier kind of outline.
Yeah, well, that certainly seemed... I thought that was one of the biggest surprises, and that's what I wanted to talk about. Lockhart coming back in 6. How would that... Because that's Snape in that book. Mm. So she was considering continuing to not give Snape that position. And...
I don't think it's them coming back as teachers. I think it's just them showing up again in the books. Because you have both Lockhart and Enid Pettigrew showing up in 6, both Lupin and Pettigrew in 7. So
hang on. Well, let's just hold you there. Who is Enid Pettigrew?
I think Rowling just likes the name Pettigrew because she keeps trying to find a place to use it. Because in the middle of the page it says that Enid Pettigrew is going to teach divination.
Right.
Yeah.
So unless she was going to transfer from divination to Defense Against the Dark Arts in year 4.
Yeah, Enid Pettigrew is written 3 times on this page. It's crazy. At the very top, it's the first thing written. And then down below, yeah, it's just...
She's like, okay, I'm going to plan out the subjects and teachers, and I'm going to get this name Enid Pettigrew in here somewhere.
Pettigrew. Well, and then there's somebody who's only listed for book 5. This guy named, I assume it's a guy, Oakden Hernshaw. Yeah. And then on the previous note, it's Oakden... where is he written here?
At the very bottom when she's listing defense teachers.
Hobday. What is written next to Oakden Hobday here? Is it major person, minor person? How do you make that out?
It almost looks like Maylor person.
Yeah.
Maylor person. Yeah. But so she changed his last name even between these 2 pages. Oakden Hobday, Oakden Hernshaw. These characters who may or may not. I mean, maybe ended up being Moody. You know, I don't...
Oh. You know what it is? I think it's Myler because in the middle of the page, there's Myler Sylvanus.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
You're right.
Good call.
Right. Yeah. And then if you also look earlier on that page for divination, there's a character called Mopsus. I feel like she's talked about this character before, but never ended up
Yes, she has. I think somewhere on her website.
It's just this is blowing my mind. Absolutely, just blowing my mind.
They're very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, just imagine, and I assume there are even more documents like this at the actual exhibit. So I really want to go to it now, and even just to see these firsthand, because like this stuff punched out on a typewriter or actually written down, like these are treasures for Harry Potter fans.
Yeah.
We'll love to get up close to them. Now, there is a huge scene on page 90. And this one was arguably one of the coolest parts of this exhibit book. In it, there's... So, in the scene, first of all, Fudge is a muggle.
Yep.
And he works with Vernon Dursely.
Yep.
And Hagrid comes to Fudge to fill this muggle in on Voldemort, who's described as like a red-eyed dwarf.
This is like Cursed Child all over again.
This is a story that was always meant to be told.
And so this was supposed to be for book 1, and early on in book 1. Like I think this may have been like the opening chapter or 2. And then Fudge goes to Vernon and says, hey, you got to take this kid in. You have no other choice. And Vernon resists at first, and then he realizes that he has to. There's 4 pages here, and you see the full alternate scene. It's really cool. And as this book notes, it's reminiscent of Fudge visiting the Prime Minister of Muggles in the first chapter of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. And then there's this quote from J.K. Rowling right underneath that little fact. and it's marked 2017. So I think they asked her to comment on it, and she says, "I often cut ideas and put them into later books. Never waste a good scene."
Yeah.
Which reminded me, on her website, way back before Half-Blood Prince came out, she posted a little thing about the opening chapter of Book 6, where she said, "I've come close to using a chapter very like this in Philosopher's Stone." It was one of the discarded first chapters, Prisoner of Azkaban, and Order of the Phoenix, but here it finally works.
Yep.
Thank you. I remembered her touching on this before, but I could not remember.
Yeah. I have a master file of like all the apocrypha she's ever put out. So yeah, Control F.
Yeah. So here it is. Here's the original, like, here it is where it would have been in book 1. Amazing, right? Weird too.
So weird. Fudge a muggle? Vernon working with Fudge? That would have just like changed a lot in future
Hagrid
books.
hasn't changed at all. Well, that's the whole thing is too. This scene talks about how Dumbledore has a plan to kill Voldemort, and like how Voldemort's not even human, and some interesting stuff about the evolution of Voldemort, because he was not, I don't think he was always, in the book says something like, oh, it took some time for Voldemort to evolve into the terrifying villain he ended up being, or something to like play down, but he's sort of more of a creature.
I'm
He's not even really a person here.
Right.
I'm glad this chapter didn't make the cut. Like, I like the fact that it was modified and it was changed, because it just doesn't read the same to me. And I think having the context of the entire series obviously helps, but this seems just a little too off to me.
Mm-hmm.
There were sections that were missing, right? I mean, it wasn't, I don't think, sort of the full.
I guess not.
Yeah, it might have jumped a couple pages, I think, at one point. Or some of these excerpts do. Like, there's one on one page and then the one that's a few pages later. But
and I just love, there's a line, I think, Hagrid, where he says that Dumbledore is working on figuring out how to take down Voldemort. And that I'm just thinking about, Dumbledore was thinking about the Horcruxes back then.
Oh, but then at the it ends with Hagrid telling Fudge that Dumbledore wasn't even able to put his plan in place.
Yeah.
Because whatever happened with this boy. And that's really weird. So that's super
clear, though, how the whole connection between this boy and Vernon comes to be. It's just like the kid is there. So that's what I'm saying. It seems like some of the text is missing.
I think Hagrid dropped him off or something. He is still his uncle.
Yeah.
But Vernon has aspirations of replacing Fudge as Muggle Prime Minister.
Yeah. Which is interesting, because that means that like the Wizarding world was much less entrenched in the real Muggle world in this original draft, because she's just making up fictional Muggle prime ministers.
Well, yeah, maybe. Or it could just be that originally the Muggle side of things was going to be very much more hostile towards wizards, the way that Vernon is hostile towards Harry.
Yeah.
Which is what we get in Fantastic Beasts. And speaking of Fantastic Beasts, there's actually, honestly, a lot of stuff in here that I think is still relevant for what might be coming. And this is great. So one of the subjects they delve into, although it's not taught at Hogwarts, is alchemy. And there's, I think, like a 6-meter long scroll that has just existed for years and years. I wrote this down. That's in this book and in this museum. This is just what blows my mind, is that this is the British Museum. They have had these artifacts, these tapestries, just in storage, and they bring them out due to their relevance and connection with Harry Potter. It just absolutely blows my mind on this. But the stuff about Flamel, who is an actual person, his actual gravestone, which seems to be recreated for the upcoming Fantastic Beasts sequel. J.K. Rowling tweeted about it. Very interesting there. Maybe the part of the film will show how he faked his death, or just isn't really in the graveyard where he is, or maybe I'm calling it right now. His gravestone is an entrance to an underground tunnel where he lives.
I like it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just think that it's really fascinating stuff that's highly relevant, and really also intrigues me due to, like, this is real world history. These people at one point really existed and really believed in magic. There's like this witch's broomstick that's in the museum. Like, I love every second of it.
I wanted to ask you guys, do you think that George Ripley on page 34 might end up showing up in the next movie? He's the guy who apparently wrote The Compound of Alchemy, a book on how to make a philosopher's stone.
Oh.
So could Rowling bring him in?
Here it is. Here's the 6-meter tapestry thing they have. The Ripley scroll, it's called. Yeah. I don't know. If Nicholas Flamel is going to be in this movie, why not? Why not just throw in more alchemists? George Ripley can come. This film won't be about Newt, Tina, Queenie, or Jacob at all. It's just how many alchemists fit into a Harry Potter sequel.
Maybe he won't be in it, but it'll be referenced. His work will be referenced.
Yeah.
Because, geez, if he wrote the book on how to make a philosopher's stone, that definitely seems like something that would play into this.
Yeah,
story.
Because like you guys said, I think an episode or two ago, Flamel was working on the Sorcerer's Stone for like 600 years before partnering up with Dumbledore. Maybe Ripley was his original partner.
Well, it's important to note that he clearly perfected the stone when he was still quite young, like within the first 80 years of his life. Otherwise, he would have died of old age before being able to, create the stone to begin with. I mean, wizards might live a little longer, maybe to like 150, like Dumbledore is, and stuff without the stone. Although I just wonder if Dumbledore has ever tried the elixir or something like that. Very weird, because he is 150. But yeah, whatever work Flamel did on alchemy, he was successful hundreds of years before Dumbledore was even born.
Yeah. And then there's this thing. Who put this in about the Order of the Phoenix and Dumbledore?
I made a note of it on 129. It's actually a really cool layout of her plans for the fifth book, Order of the Phoenix. Kind of jumps from one chapter to the next if you can make out her notes there. But one thing that they called attention to was the fact that the Order of the Phoenix and Dumbledore's army originally had reversed roles. So the group that Harry gets together to practice defense against the dark arts was going to be called the Order of the Phoenix, and sort of the second iteration of what we know as the Order of the Phoenix was going to be called Dumbledore's army. So
which makes so much more sense for why it's titled Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix.
Yeah.
Order of the Phoenix is still very prominent.
Are they, though? They show up like in 3 chapters.
Yeah, but it's still a big deal.
They're looming.
Harry Potter and the Dumbledore's army. Why wasn't it called that?
Yeah.
But because Rowling announced the title of Order of the Phoenix like in 2001, I think before she made this switch, and then she was like, "Well, damn it! All the trademarks have been filed, all the marketing's been made."
I really would just like more enlarged prints of this. This is insane, especially because at the bottom of 129 they have 5 or 6 more pages.
I want those pages. I want them so much.
Yeah.
Because I think this one that they've magnified was available on her website if you clicked around and did whatever mystical thing you had to do.
Yeah, I've seen
it before.
Yeah.
Like, I think Josie Kearns at the Harry Potter Companion actually called out that Dumbledore's army and Order of the Phoenix were switched around, because I've heard that before.
Yeah. But this the very last image here that's in the bottom right, I really want to know what that says or what that's all about. It seems to be a list. It seems to be a little bit different than structure of chapters, or maybe it's just a period to write even more notes. Maybe this is all supposed to line up. I'm not 100% on it, but.
Well, can we talk about the fact that apparently Harry was supposed to have occlumency lessons with Snape the entire book, but he keeps skipping the lessons before the holidays, before the attack on Arthur Weasley.
Is that
interesting?
Yeah, I think the second to last column is Snape and Harry. And then in one of the cells, there's actually a line that says, Snape going ape at Harry because he doesn't come to lessons. I think in 22.
That would have been a good scene. I would have liked to see Harry avoiding it and grappling with it. Like, oh, he wants me to go, but I don't want to go. Yeah. But that's also kind of not like Harry to skip scenes or skip classes like that.
Yeah, I'm on
Right.
Harry's side in this. I think they really should have illustrated just how and why it was so important. Because this was the book that Dumbledore refused to talk to or even look at Harry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that could have been handled better.
And apparently they had a lot of rows about it. I think chapter 16 is a row about Harry not going to lessons.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, yeah, it was going to be a whole subplot. And there's also a character called Missy Slipkiss that keeps popping up in this outline.
That's a fun
And
name.
I know, and I can't think who it's supposed to be.
Luna Lovegood.
That's actually Micah's drag name. That's kind of a funny coincidence.
Oh, that makes
No,
sense.
no. It's probably Luna Lovegood. You know, Slip
Yeah.
Kiss, Love Good. Huh?
yeah.
I see what you did there.
Anything else to say about the book? We could go through all of this page by page. There's a ton of stuff, but
Yeah.
I would. Yeah, just one other thing at the very end, kind of similar to the way the book started out. There's a little piece by Steve Kloves, who's a screenwriter for I think all of the movies except Order of the Phoenix. Is that right?
Yeah.
So, and it's just interesting.
Yeah.
He talks about how he came across the series, not all that dissimilar from how Nigel Newton came across it. Of course, he didn't give it to his 8 or 9 year old daughter to read, but he mentioned something which I guess is common in the film industry called a log line,
Mhm.
which he read about the Philosopher's Stone, and he had a bunch of other scripts that had been sent to him, and for some reason this caught his eye, and he made a few phone calls. He went out, he bought the book. He actually had trouble finding it initially. He's based here in the U.S. as opposed to, I think, most
It
of
was listed in the international section.
Yeah, he had to go to the international section of the store he went to in order to find this book, and he just says he read it deep into the night, and the rest is history. So it's interesting to hear these stories from Nigel Newton, Steve Kloves. We've had David Heyman on the show where he's talked about it, and similar stories, and how this has all kind of happened because of chance, right? Just right people at the right time.
Yeah.
Wanting to take a chance on this project.
He also criticizes the cover art for the original children's edition of UK Philosopher's Stone, which I think is extremely on point. He says that that this kid looked university aged, standing in front of the train, and the cover almost turned him off. He almost put the book back after finding it in the store because, I don't know, he didn't like the cover.
Well, you know what I'm going to say.
Don't touch a book by its cover.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's the lesson to us all. But I mean, as somebody too who read the first chapter of Goblet of Fire first and disliked it, was like, what's going on? I didn't understand it. This idea of coming to Harry Potter and not immediately embracing it resonates with me. And then immediately doing like a double take and eventually finding that you love it so much. So
Yeah.
he ends that note with always, forever, something like that. And it's really sweet.
Can we please talk about page 30 and the handwritten draft of the last chapter in Sorcerer's Stone? Because I think this was my favorite part of the whole book.
yeah, tell us about it.
Okay, so it's a draft of the opening of chapter 17, The Man with Two Faces, and a lot of it is pretty close to what happens, but there are all these little things buried in there. So apparently, first of all, there was a thing where Quirrell overheard Harry and Ron talking in class about the Philosopher's Stone, so he burned a warning into Harry's bed. That was a subplot that was cut out. There was...
Burns a warrant. Now,
yeah.
that reminds me of the burning the message into the blanket in Cursed Child.
Oh,
to
so
get
Rowling always
across-
had that idea.
To get across time. That's why, remember a couple weeks ago, we talked about how she was listening to all these plot ideas and she was like, yeah, that feels right. That feels right.
That feels
That's why
right.
that felt right.
Huh.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, and also I really liked Quirrell's turn of phrase when he's like recapping all his failures. At one point he's like, blow me if I didn't fail again.
I'm
Which-
reading that. Yeah.
Little dirty.
Right?
I'm
But
sure it means
my
something
favorite thing
Britain.
is that it actually confirmed a theory that I've been working on for a long time. So I wrote a book about Dumbledore where I like analyzed what was going on. And one of my theories in that book is that the protections surrounding the Sorcerer's Stone weren't in place until the holidays. And here, at one point, Quirrell said it says that Quirrell needed to see what was guarding the stone on Halloween when he tries to get past the troll. So the protections were not in place on Halloween.
That scene is in this book too. Nearly Headless Nick comes to Harry for advice on something, and it's
tipping off Snape.
Yeah, and it's the beginning of that chapter where Harry and Ron go and accidentally lock the troll in the bathroom. It's crazy. This is just, maybe a collection of maybe 12 pages tops of original drafts of these books, and the possibilities and original intentions of the author are endless, like unknowable and extremely fascinating.
I'm so excited. I now need to go edit my book, which is good because I'm meeting with my publisher in like 2 weeks to discuss when we're doing edits. So
what's this book? Are you writing Scorbus fan fiction?
No, I defer to you on that.
Oh, okay.
I wrote a book just analyzing the entire Harry Potter series through the lens of what Dumbledore knew, what he was planning, what he was up to, and, why he did it all.
Wow.
I'm calling it The Life and Lies of Albus Dumbledore if I can get away with it.
Oh, wow. You probably can't get away with it, but that's a cool idea.
I want to try. But so it got picked up by a publisher in May, and so we're going to begin working on it soon, hopefully release it next year.
Call it The Life and Lies of Dalbus Dumbledore. That should be fun.
Yeah, something like that.
Dumbledore. Yeah, he's one of these rejected names, or one of the names Fudge tries to use.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Well, I think only Albus Dumbledore is trademarked, so maybe if I include all his middle names, I can get away with it.
Of Brian. Just use Brian.
The Life and Lies of Brian.
All right.
And then real quick, you mentioned this earlier, but I thought it was a pretty big change of Harry and Ron crashing the Fort Anglia into the Black Lake as opposed to the Whomping Willow.
Yeah, I mean, it's a full-blown scene. Like, there's dialogue and stuff, too. This is on page 120. It's typed out, so it's easy to read. Highly recommend checking that out.
Yeah. More physical descriptors of the mermaids than appear in Goblet of Fire.
Yeah, I was going to say, the mer people don't get introduced to us until Goblet of Fire. This would have been a much earlier introduction, but I think it's set up well, the Whomping Willow, for book 3.
Yeah, well, and also it makes the second task much more effective if you, aren't familiar with mer people yet.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Later in this book, they kind of look to the future of Harry Potter, sort of, but not really. They do mention Cursed Child, they mention Fantastic Beasts, and there's a couple sneak peeks of the Fantastic Beasts Illustrated Edition, which comes out in November.
Ooh.
Yeah, so if you can't wait for that, buy this book and see a few pieces. But anyway, this book is $12 on Amazon right now.
Wow.
It's like kind of like an oversized paperback. It's really nice. So this is a great Christmas gift for you or someone else or any other holiday you celebrate. It's really cool. I'm glad they did this because, like with Cursed Child, most of us will not be able to get to this exhibit. So this is a good way to feed the fans who couldn't see it otherwise.
I know. I was so bitter about that because I was in London for September 1st. And when they announced the exhibition was opening 3 weeks later, I'm just like, why?
Yeah. Well, there is good news. This is coming to New York next year. So
yes, and I will be there with, bells and whistles and robes on.
Right.
When? When is it coming?
I don't know. They did announce it, though.
Huh. I gotta look that up.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, I'm really into it for the real life artifacts too. This there's this star chart on page 71, which is, they say how big it is, but it's from the year 700, and this is before telescopes. There are 1,300 stars mapped out on this long sky. I think it's 20 feet big. Seriously, who that anybody had the patience or wherewithal to do that? And it's in the divination section of the book. But the star chart, these are real. These are real things. These concepts. These things that Harry, Ron, and Hermione play with at school. people maybe devoted their life to it. Humans, 1,400 years ago.
By the way, it's opening in New York in late 2018.
Damn. Okay.
Good to know.
We can't just go there when we go see Cursed Child.
Yeah, no, unfortunately not. But
do they say where yet? I assume New York Public Library would make sense. Hey, that's where they did the Beetle the Bard display when.
Oh
Yeah. It's not going to be the Discovery Center because they just opened Gulliver's Gate there with like a 20-year lease because that's where Harry Potter the exhibition was. So.
Oh, okay.
Right.
They do have a photo of Beetle the Bard in this book, and I'm wondering if they have this Beetle the Bard on display. And I'm talking about one of the handwritten Beetle the Bard books that, remember, J.K. Rowling made 7 of these for charity. If they have that on display, that would be so cool.
It's listed. Why? I thought you didn't like Beetle the Bard, Andrew.
No, that was what was on display at the New York Public Library. They did a whole thing around it.
Oh, okay.
It's listed as private collection. There was
not
also
like
a
I care.
handwritten version of Warlock's Harry Hart, the best Beetle the Bard story.
That's true.
Thank you. I'm glad you agree with me, Irvin.
Yeah. Oh, I love Beetle the Bard. It's like probably my favorite bit of Apocrypha.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Check it out. It should be in bookstores everywhere. Definitely on Amazon. And good job. Props to J.K. Rowling and everyone for making that book happen.
Yeah, this is the first companion book that I really, really, really believe is worth owning.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Yeah, I picked it up.
I'll second that.
I couldn't put it down. I read it cover to cover at 2 a.m. overnight. So, yeah.
And you get like the abridged version of all the illustrated editions. So if you don't want to go out and spend whatever it costs to buy those, you can just get this book
that's
for 12
true.
bucks.
They literally take the 2 best pieces of artwork from the illustrated Prisoner of Azkaban that just came out and put them here in full page spreads.
And there's
The one
more
of
than
Pickwick
that.
and the one of Lupin. Yeah.
There's from the earlier books as well. So
Yeah.
okay.
I love the portrait of Dumbledore because,
Me too.
that's my thing.
And they have the one of Harry in front of the Mirror of Erised, which I just love.
Yep.
Trelawney. Anyway, let's do some Quizzage.
Yay.
All right.
Irvin's gonna get it, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, I've gotten every single one you've ever asked, so.
wow. And these are my hardest. I'm deliberately choosing the ones that 18-year-old me thought were the hardest questions imaginable.
Yeah, I'm no longer allowed to play trivia with the New York City Harry Potter group. They just said it's not fair.
What? Really?
Yeah, it's
Come
a
to
thing.
Chicago. We could use your help.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because, I keep winning trivia AD, Harry Potter trivia in New York, so maybe it'll be more challenging in Chicago.
I think it will be. So last week's Quizits question, wanted to say both those words at once, and it came out Quazich. Quizits question: which Hogwarts student once lost an eye in an encounter with the Whomping Willow? And do you know this, Irvin?
Yeah, Davy Gudgeon.
Yeah, of course. Davy Gudgeon. Everybody knows Davy Gudgeon, right? Good old Davy G. So that was the answer to that question. I forgot to ask that on Twitter, so we don't have a list of winners. Sorry, guys. I'll be better next
Come
week.
on. I can't
But
fault
the
you.
answer
I
to that
wasn't-
question can be found on 120, page 120 of Prisoner of Azkaban. Wait, no, not Prisoner of Azkaban. Chamber of Secrets.
Okay.
Okay, next week's Quizits question. Pick a book between 1 and 3.
Irvin, you
3.
3. Okay, here we go. And let me see.
Micah, we're going to have to come up with questions for 4 through 7.
There are websites for that.
Okay. I'm going to pick a really hard one for you, Irvin.
All right. Should I answer it if I know it?
Maybe.
Or do you want to let the listeners answer?
Okay.
Let the listeners answer.
Okay.
Okay.
Towards the end of the year, Harry's 3rd year, what did the students have to do for Snape's potions exam? So the final year exam for potions, what did the students have to do for it?
Okay.
That is a good question.
Go open up the Twitter account and post it right.
Do it
now.
right
We
now.
have to wait.
Micah.
We have to wait.
right now, and we're going to go to voicemails right now. Just a note, if you call in, we do appreciate it, but please keep your voicemails a minute or less in length. I'm listening to all of them, but we don't want to spend too much time on individual calls, so just get to the point with a voicemail of a minute or less. Thank you. If you go over by a couple of seconds, of course, it's not a major problem, but we'd appreciate that for the sake of time. So here is our first voicemail today.
Hey, what's up, MuggleCast? This is Klein from South Texas. I have a theory. It's kind of a dark one about the plot of maybe how these next several movies go. And what if Grindelwald actually started World War II? What if he was the reason that Hitler became what he was? What if Hitler was actually imperialist and Grindelwald's solution to the Muggle problem was actually Hitler's solution to the problem with the Jews? I know it's a dark theory, but what if J.K. Rowling actually uses real history to create her plot and intertwines World War II with Grindelwald's goals? And it is kind of convenient that Grindelwald was defeated in 1945, which, as everybody knows, is when World War II ended. So, tell me what you think. Great listening to you all again, and keep it coming, guys. Thanks. Bye.
That is a dark theory, and that would be kind of insane if she connected it to World War II.
Yeah.
The connection is already there. It has been ever since Prisoner or Philosopher's Stone, when the Dark Wizard Grindelwald was said to be defeated in 1945. You can make the connection that World War II was just ending at the same time. Clearly, the wizards had something to do with it, but I'm not sure that Grindelwald would have, imperious Hitler. I think it would be too dangerous. Jo would open up too big of a can of worms if she had Grindelwald interfering that much with the course of world history. I could be wrong. Maybe I'll eat these.
I agree. And I think it also would sort of absolve Hitler of the responsibility for the terrible things he did, which I'm not sure Rowling wants to do.
No.
Yeah, I agree with all those thoughts. And Eric, what you said about how the comparison already exists, I think it's fair to say that there's going to be a parallel between what's going on in the wizarding world and what's going on in the Muggle world. There's no question. And to have these two figures rising to power at the same time is not a coincidence. And then just thinking about Nurmengard, probably in some ways will mirror what went on in concentration camps.
Yeah. Probably. So suffice to say, and World War I is mentioned in the Fantastic Beasts film. We find out that Newt was with dragons in Romania or something, or the Eastern Front.
Serving.
Yeah, but so these are big things that will show up in the films. But I think it'll just be safe to say that while all of that is happening in the Muggle world, something will be happening in the Wizarding world. But I don't know how related that J.K. Rowling is going to get comfortable making them. That's my theory.
Okay, here's another voicemail. This person recently went to the Wizarding World theme park.
Hey, MuggleCast, the better recording, I hope. I was really excited this morning when I called you. Anyways, I wanted to talk about a story and a theory I had, or suggestion, I don't know. But when me and my girlfriend went down to Universal Studios for the first time in Florida, and one of the big things we wanted to go for was for the Harry Potter itself. Now, I hadn't been as deep into the fandom as I used to be when I was younger. I'm 23 now. I was way super into it when I was high school and middle school and, in school in general. So when we go down there, it kind of rekindled my love, kind of brought it back home, and that's how I find you guys actually, was looking for something a little bit more to listen to during the day. But anyways, we go to the Gringotts ride, the Escape from Gringotts, and it was our first time. We were super excited. We got it under 20-minute wait time, and so we're flying through the line. And we get to the part where Voldemort and Bellatrix are attacking you, and then everything goes black. Everything, all the lights are off, everything. And being first time, we thought it was kind of part of the ride. And then all of a sudden, over the speaker, it says, sorry for technical difficulties. We're having an issue with the ride. And so all the lights turn on, and we're in this entire big thing suspended over nothing. And so we don't really know what's happening. And then so about 20, 30 minutes go by, and all the lights turn off, and then all of a sudden it does that thing, you know. And I couldn't help but curse really loud next to a child, and I felt really bad because I thought I was going to die. When we got done with the ride, they offered to let us back on it, but at that moment in time, I wasn't feeling it at all. All in all, it was a great experience. Like I said, it brought me back home to the Harry Potter fandom a little bit more. Also, so I think you guys were talking about how they're going to incorporate young Dumbledore, younger Newt, and everyone, and Grindelwald. What if, since Grindelwald is part of Durmstrang, do you think he and Dumbledore and they're all going to be connected with like a Tri-Wizard flashback or something like that? That would put them all together at one time, I think. Thank you guys for all the free funnies and all the great entertainment. And I will continue to listen to you guys and support you guys as much as I possibly can. You guys have a great day. Thank you for everything. Bye.
Thank you. It's very cool. This guy basically found us after going to the theme park, being like, oh man, I still love Harry Potter after all. Then went looking for Harry Potter podcasts. And here we are today. And just about the ride, you know, these rides do break down. It is kind of funny how it played out for you since it was your first time. But don't worry, none of these rides are going to kill you, even if they break down. They're all very safe. As for this theory, he thinks Dumbledore and Grindelwald could be together at a Tri-Wizard tournament. Is that what he said?
I thought there hadn't been one of those for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Not 1,000, but a couple hundred for sure.
Yeah, so that would kind of bust that theory, but thanks for calling in. Thanks for your feedback. There was one more voicemail I wanted to mention. The call quality was pretty bad, though, so I'm not going to play it. Her name was Nat. She was upset because we kind of zinged Lord of the Rings, or potentially I zinged Lord of the Rings.
Oh.
I think because we were talking about the number of books, and maybe it was just like, oh, there was only 3, so it's not as detailed or something as Harry Potter. I absolutely know that The Lord of the Rings is an amazing series. I haven't read it, but of course I've heard nothing but great things about the books. And of course everybody loves the movies as well. So no hate on Lord of the Rings, Nat. She was saying, she brought it up because Lord of the Rings she was a fan of Lord of the Rings before Harry Potter, so she holds it very close to her heart.
All right, I'll just keep my mouth shut.
Oh, don't even, Irvin, you're very controversial.
It's what I do.
If you want to call in with your own voicemail, you can dial 1-920-3-MUGGLE. In the U.S., add a number 1 out on the front of it, so it would be 1-920-3-MUGGLE. That's 1-920-368-4453. Also got our P.O. Box 4044 North Lincoln Avenue, Box 144, Chicago, IL 60618. And you can also just contact us the old-fashioned way. No, not mail. By visiting MuggleCast.com, and you can click on Send Us an Owl at the top, and there will be a feedback form at the bottom. Or just email MuggleCast@gmail.com, or Twitter account, which is MuggleCast. Woo. Let us know, what do you think of the book?
Yeah.
Leave voicemail. All these things.
Mm-hmm. Do trivia.
We're so interactive here on MuggleCast.
Play Quizzitch.
Irvin, thanks for joining us. You were great.
Thanks so much for having me. I've been fanboying you guys for so long that, it's been kind of a dream come true.
Awesome. Well, you did a great job. You're worthy of the position, and keep writing for MuggleNet and Hypable. I know we both appreciate it.
Definitely will. I appreciate you guys, putting my work out there, and, look for The Life and Lies of Brian coming sometime 2018.
Love it. They're the Monty Python analysis book, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And what's your Patreon name again? Username?
HPBoy13.
Okay, cool.
Same name I write under.
Is it boy with a Y or an I?
With a Y.
Y.
And I would be a whole other type of patron, I think.
Boy. I don't know. I don't know what the kids are doing these days.
Well, I mean, it's the screen name I came up with when I was 13 and started writing fan fiction, and it just kind of stuck.
Cute.
Boy.
That's cute.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, A Messenger is shutting down soon. That made me think about my old screen names. Which one of them was HPS House, which was for Harry Potter's house, my old website.
423. Yeah.
Oh yeah, rip to them all.
Rip to them all.
You can visit our own Patreon over at patreon.com/MuggleCast. We'll put a link to Irvin's Patreon in the show notes.
And also,
Thanks,
there's
guys.
there's a Facebook group for our patrons, which I don't think Irving. Are you in this? Are you in this?
No, I'm not on Facebook. So.
Oh, okay. Well, then So if anybody's on Facebook and is a patron of ours, you can get access to this Facebook group. You just need to follow 2 instructions that are on Patreon, and I couldn't make them more clear, but I can repost them just for everybody who wants in on the Facebook group. It's very active.
It is
very active. Yeah.
But to access those instructions, go to the Patreon. Click on the desktop. You'll see a link on the left. It says benefits, and then you can learn how to apply to become a co-host. If you're at the Slug Club level, you can add our audio benefits to your own podcast app. Not potty app, podcast app. And you can also learn how to join the Facebook group, like Eric said. It is real easy. It's only a couple steps. So make sure you do that. People have been asking, and there's your answer.
Yeah.
Also, over on patreon.com/MuggleCast, you can get ad-free versions of the show, access to show notes. You can join us for our live recordings. Thanks to everybody who has been listening today. And several other benefits. So check it all out over at patreon.com/MuggleCast. I see our Slug Club membership level is now full. We've hit.
Whoa, really?
Well,
that's awesome.
We had a limit we limited it because of the sticker sets. So we only had enough stickers available. So we'll get the stickers out to the remaining people who haven't received them. And then actually we will have to open up the $10 level again to let more people in to apply to become a MuggleCast co-host. And
embarrassment of riches, TBH.
Thanks everybody for listening. I'm Andrew.
I'm Eric.
I'm Micah.
And I'm Irvin.
Goodbye, everybody.